So this is Anthony, NLP coach, and I'm coming at you from the Hollywood Hills, the beautiful Hollywood Hills where it's freezing cold. So the subject I want to talk to you about today is your internal map of reality, something that we all develop. We develop this as kids. This is how we navigate ourselves in the world. And this is not a bad thing at all. If we didn't have an internal map of reality, we wouldn't know when to get up, when to eat, when to do these kinds of things, right? So the internal map is kind of what just fits us into the matrix, if you will, to use a metaphysical, to use a different metaphor. The internal map of reality is actually a good thing when you know how to navigate on it. And the trick is to be aware of how we're navigating. So with this internal map of reality, this is you can research this yourself. This all has to do with neuro-linguistic programming. The internal map of reality is one of the first things that I studied when I became a neuro-linguistic practitioner back in 2012. So the internal map of reality, this is such interesting information because all of this happens automatically unless you're taking this off automatic, which means becoming aware of how you do this stuff, how you delete, how you generalize, how you distort information, because this is going to happen no matter what, because this is just what happens. Literally, this is how it happens. Information comes in, and information is just information. It's just bits of information. It's just what's coming into your reality. It's your experience. So this information comes in, and based off of how you were raised as a child, your behaviors, what you were taught like mass subconsciously. When I say that mass subconsciously, that's an ego term. Basically, how do you fit into the matrix, if you will? Now, when I say the matrix, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. It's going to get really loud here, so I might have to get a little louder myself. Fitting into the matrix is not a bad thing at all. This is how the ego operates in the matrix. And without it, you wouldn't have a way to operate in the world. So it's very important to have this ego. There's so much stuff out there about ego is bad and kill the ego. No. Your ego is your friend. Your ego is helping you survive. Is it integrated with that part of you, that God part of you, that divine part of you, is the question. So back to the internal map of reality, because I really want to kind of hammer this home and get this information out there. So the information comes in, and it's just raw data. You can say it's just raw data. So it comes in as raw data, and then based on all of your beliefs, you either distort, generalize, or delete information. Now, it's been proven time and time again that how powerful the mind is. What you see or what you believe is what you will see. This is proven without a shadow of a doubt. And if you question this process, I challenge you to go to my Instagram feed and look up the blind spot test. The blind spot test is where you can actually test in each human eye, there's a blind spot at the center. And because of this blind spot, there's actually stuff you don't see, and your brain actually makes up the information instead. So that's an idea of distorting, deleting, or even adding information to make your beliefs correspond. So the information comes in, and then you delete, you distort, or generalize it. An idea of generalizing would be like every time you get to a doorknob, you have a general sense of how to use a doorknob, right? So generalizing is a good thing. But it's not when it comes to, things that you've heard, behaviors and patterns that you've heard from other people. Obviously, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing to generalize a whole entire gender or race. So that'd be an idea of when it's not a good thing, obviously. So back to the internal map of reality. This information comes in, you delete, you distort, to generalize it, and then from there, is the next process is basically the emotions that you're going to feel. What are you going to feel from this, right? So you're going to feel something from this, and then from that information, you're going to act. Now, when you act, you're going to take action based on all of those things that you deleted, distorted, and generalized from that information, from the bits of information. So you deleted, distorted, and generalized. Then you felt these emotions, these feelings, and that inspired you to act. All from this place of deleting, distorting, and generalizing. Now, what happens when you act? Well, you either get the pattern that you're playing out from your internal map of reality, or you do something new and get something different based on taking these processes and becoming aware of them and doing it intentionally. And that's the name of the game, is always doing it intentionally. That's why meditation is so important. But meditation can be in anything. I mean, you can get out in nature and just meditate. You can get out and, walk the beach, whatever you want to do, and call it meditation, as long as your brain is getting into those brainwave states of meditation where you're calm enough to let things rise to the surface from your intuition, your heart, or that divine place that you want to call it. So this is very, very, this is valuable information. So I hope you're getting value from it. I had to learn about this information. I took a really, really long course that was really in depth. It took me 1.5 years. And so I'd like to bring this information to other people because it's so supportive, and it gives you an idea of what's really going on here, And so the other thing I wanted to say is that in any of these processes, you can do what's called a break state or interrupt the cybernetic loop, so to speak. So during any of these processes where you delete, distort, generalize information, right? Then comes up the emotions, the feelings, right? And then comes the behavior. What are you going to do? How are you going to act here, right? During any of those systems, if you cause an interruption or a break, that actually breaks up the pattern and supports in breaking up the pattern too. So that's kind of just like meditation, but you're actually, it's a more active breaking up the pattern. Thank you, man. Gracias. It's actually a breaking up the pattern, an active breaking up the pattern, which I highly recommend. And this is one of the reasons why things like cold showers or just doing things spontaneous are so important, because you're actually causing a break state in these patterns, and you're breaking up these cybernetic loops, so to speak. So you can actually cause a break state or cybernetic interruption during any of these processes, whether it's the deleting, distorting. No fighting, guys, no fighting. Deleting, distorting, generalizing, or whether it's acting, or whether it's whatever it is, breaking up that cybernetic loop is always a good thing. And a cold shower is definitely a good way to break that up. The reason why I say cold showers, that's a really highly recommended way to break up this cybernetic loop, because it shocks the system. It basically induces a flight or fight from a safer place. Meaning that, I could go into real in-depth about this, but there's no reason to right now. Maybe I will in another video. But for now, understanding that cold showers and doing things that are kind of spontaneous and anything that interrupts those patterns is a good thing. So, to recap, on this internal map of reality, information comes in, meaning the world comes in, experience comes in. From that experience, you delete, you distort, and you generalize information. Now, this is all coming from a neuro-linguistic programming place. From that information, from that deletions, distortions, the generalizations, you have emotions, feelings based on previous behaviors, right, on how to deal with stuff like that. And then from there, you act. So this, in a nutshell, is your internal map of reality. So to give you a recap on it, that's the information, putting the information out there, and breaking up any one of these patterns in that cybernetic loop actually changes the pattern and it interrupts that state. It causes what's called a break state or an interruption in the cybernetic loop. If you've gotten value from this, give me a like, subscribe if you haven't. Check me out on Instagram, Align with Divine. This is Anthony. Peace out.